All right, welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're joining us today because, well, we're going to completely reframe something you interact with every single second of your life, your own body. We usually think of our anatomy as this fixed thing, right? Like a machine that just carries our brain around. But today, we're looking at some truly fascinating research that completely shatters that whole view. So let's dive right in. So, what if the body wasn't just a biological container? Traditional biology kind of treats our physical form like a completely neutral vessel, just muscles, bones, and organs responding to basic commands. But what if it's actually an active, highly intelligent archive, like a living interface that not only stores our entire history, but can actually be actively reprogrammed? I want you to just listen to this quote for a second. When childhood teaches the body to survive before even learning to live, the traumatized body contracts. That right there, that is the absolute emotional and scientific core of our explainer today. Our physical form literally records our history. Every psychological defense, every chronic emotional pattern, every social trajectory. It all leaves a literal anatomical trace in our flesh. Our bodies encode our experiences directly into our posture and our muscle tension. So when we face neglect, intense stress, or trauma, our nervous system adapts just to keep us safe. A hypervigilant body constantly anticipates threats. A humiliated body, well, it learns to hide by curving the spine and closing the chest. These aren't just passing feelings. They actually become our literal morphology. And that brings us to our first major concept, the body as an archive. But hey, here is the really incredible news. We possess what is known as biological software, or what the source material actually calls the BOGCL. I want you to think of your neurobiology as a programmable interface. Because the body encodes traumatic patterns, it also means we can intentionally hack and rewrite them. By bringing conscious awareness to our movement and our breath, we can quite literally reprogram our nervous system. We are not just stuck with the code we were given. So, to figure out how to actually reprogram this software, we got to start right at the foundation, the static body. Let's slow down for a second. Think about what it actually means to just stand still. The crucial takeaway here is that the static body is not actually immobile. True stillness is a dynamic equilibrium. Just to stand upright, your body is constantly regulating its baseline muscle tone. It's continuously adjusting to tiny signals from your inner ear and your vision, all just to hold its organization against gravity. This grounding foundation is the absolute base for stable psychological presence. If your static body is rigid or if it's collapsed, your mind is basically going to follow suit. Ancient traditions have literally understood this for centuries. Think about Tadasana, the mountain pose in yoga. Rooted into the earth, elongated to the sky with free, open breathing. Contrast that with Mushin in martial arts. That's the state of standing completely effortlessly, so you can move without any resistance whatsoever. Optimal static posture isn't just an exercise, it's an existential attitude. When you align your static body perfectly, you balance the autonomic nervous system. That means you aren't tense and hyperactive, but you're not collapsed and lethargic either. You are just perfectly present. All right, once we have that solid foundation down, we can start to move. Let's shift our energy to the dynamic body. So there's this evolutionary somatic arc that we go through. We start at our foundation, the static body. Then we move into the dynamic body, which is your everyday intentional movement, walking, working, reaching for a cup of coffee. And finally, this evolves into the dancing body, which is the ultimate level of neurobiological integration. Your movement builds from basic posture all the way up to profound, complex expression. What's super interesting here is how this totally redefines efficiency. Expert movement is not some programmed robotic sequence. It is the embodiment of an organizing principle. Whether it's martial arts, swimming, or literally just walking down the street, moving efficiently requires maximum coordination with the absolute minimum of parasitic tension. And it is always, always driven by the breath. You're basically letting the system self-organize in a completely fluid way. And that brings us to the absolute climax of this somatic evolution, the dancing body. Just look at the stark contrast between these two states. The traumatized body is contracted. It's constantly anticipating danger, hypervigilant, and totally rigid. It operates entirely around threat detection. But to dance, you are forced to be coordinated, expansive, breathing deeply, and synchronized with a rhythm. Dance actually forces a hypervigilant, threatened brain to release its chronic tension and safely inhabit physical space. It is neurologically impossible to be fully locked in a state of trauma and fully dancing at the exact same time. No way. The source material specifically highlights some disciplines that act as experiential laboratories for this exact kind of healing. We're talking contemporary dance, modern jazz, conscious theater, and Buto, which is this deeply, deeply expressive Japanese dance form. For folks who have developed a conflicting relationship with their own flesh, these movement forms act as literal neurological repair. They temporarily reconcile perception, emotion, and consciousness, allowing trauma survivors to feel the continuous, safe presence of their own bodies again.
Now, this isn't just some poetic philosophy. It is backed by hard empirical science. Let's look at the neurobiology of movement.
When you engage in synchronized rhythmic movement, like dance, you are lighting up a massive neurological symphony in your brain. The motor and sensoromotor cortex fire for coordination, the insula activates for interoception, which is feeling your internal states, mirror circuits trigger for social synchronization, limbic areas process the emotions, and the prefrontal cortex lights up for planning. I mean, dance is a highly complex, deeply healing neurophysiological language that literally rewires a traumatized brain's relationship with safety and space. Right at the center of all this rewiring is something called proprioception. This is your perception of your body's internal state, its spatial orientation, and all those little micro-movements. For instance, walking barefoot on the earth engages hundreds of thousands of nerve endings in your feet, and that instantly grounds your mind. Complex trauma often fragments our sensory experience, which makes us feel totally disconnected from our limbs. Rebuilding that proprioception is how we repair that fragmentation and pull the mind firmly back into the present moment. To really master this reprogramming, we use this dynamic system of self-regulation called the triptych of reharmony. It relies on three integrated pillars. First up is the body, which provides your structure and material energy. Second is presence, which provides your consciousness and intentional direction. And third, the breath. The breath is absolutely crucial here. It's the mediator. It acts as the bridge between automatic biology and conscious intention. By consciously controlling your breath, you immediately link your mind directly to your nervous system. When you finally integrate the body, your presence, and your breath, you arrive at our final destination, the body that knows. This brings us to a super practical application called strategic somatics. This is the intentional direction and reorganization of physical blockages to literally modulate your personal reality. It means realizing that this isn't just theory anymore. If you're feeling stuck, anxious, or completely overwhelmed, you can strategically use your posture, your sensory grounding, and your breathing cadence to change your entire electromagnetic and neurobiological state. Your physical form is entirely responsive to your intent. I want you to really think about this quote. The body that knows that matter is not inert, that form responds to intention, that physical expression is a language as precise as verbal language. Think about that for a second. Your physical presence broadcasts an energetic signature to absolutely everything around you. Actually, your posture isn't just expressing how you feel, it is actively constructing how you feel, sending those signals right back into your brain. Which leaves us with this final vital question. Your body is an archive, and it's keeping the score right now, in this exact moment as you watch this explainer. You have the access code to your own biological software. So how will you intentionally program your next breath, your next posture, and your next movement? Take a deep breath, maybe adjust your posture right now, and take that power back. Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating science with me, and keep learning.